Nrsimhavamana Srimadusudana Rajendra Nandana Shama Nrsimhavamana Srimadusudana Rajendra Nandana Shama Bhutana Gatana Kaita Bashatana Jaya Dasarati Rama 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 Yashoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandara 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 Gopi Priya Janna Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bhora 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 Ravana Thakura Makana Taskara Gopi Jana Vastrahari 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 Brajera Rakala Gopa Vrindapalo Chitahari Vamsidhari 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 Yogendra Bandhana Shri Nandanandana Raja Jana Bhayahari 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 Navinani Radha Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Bihari Navinani Radha Rupa Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Bihari
Namina Nirada Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Bihari
Yashodhanandana Kamsa Nishudhana Nikunjara Savilasi
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 Kadambakhanana Rasa Parayana Vrinda Vipina Nivasi
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 Ananda Vardhana Premani Keshana Kulasharayo Jakakana
Ananda Vardhana Premani Keshana Kulasharayo Jakakana
Ananda Vardhana Premani Keshana Kulasharayo Jakakama
Ananda Vardhana Premani Keshana Kulasharayo Jakakama
Gopangana Gana Chita Vinodhana Samasta Guna Gana Dhama
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 Yamuna Jivana Kili Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora
Yamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora
Yamuna Jivana Kili Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora
Yamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora
Namashudaras Ko Krishnaya Shrako Vachanamana Mohora
Namasudara Sakau Krishna Yasa Sakavachana Manamora
Namashudaras Ko Krishnaya Rako Vachanamana Mohora
Namasudara Sakau Krishna Yasa Sakavachana Manamora
Vibhavari Shesha Loka Pravesha Nidrachari Uttajiva
Iva Adishesha Aloka Pravesha Nijatani Uttajiva
Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva.
Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari, Rama Krishna Hayagriva.
Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo.
Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo.
Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Sarasatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudhirayat
Tato Jayamudhirayat
Nasta Prayeshu Vabhadreshu
Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttamashloke
Bhagavati Uttamashloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 27, about process of deity worship. Text number 9. Archayam
Archayam
Standile
Sandile
Agnava
Agnova
Surye
Surye
Vapsu
Vapsu
Radi Dvija
Priti Dvija
Dravyena
Dravyena
Bhakti Yukto
Bhakti Yukto
Archat
Archat
Swaguram
Swaguram
Mam
Mam
Amayaya
Amayaya
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Sandilegnova
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Sandilegnova
Surye Vapsuradi Dvija
Surye Vapsu Dviti Dvija
Surye Vapsuradi Dvija
Surye Vapsu Dviti Dvija
Dravyena Bhakti Yukto Rechet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Dravyena Bhakti Yukto Rechet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Sandilegnova
Surye Vapsuradi Dvija
Surye Vapsu Priti Dvija
Dravyena Bhakti Yukto Rechet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Swagurum Mam Amayaya
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Standilignova
Surye Vapsurididvaja
Surye Vapsurididvaja
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Swagurum Amayaya
Swagurum Amayaya Archayam Standilignova Archayam Standilignova Surye Vapsurididvaja Surye Vapsurididvaja Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet Swagurum Mamayaya Swagurum Mamayaya
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Standilignova
Surya Vapsurididvaja
Surye Vapsurididvaja
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Swagurum Amayaya
Swagurum Mamayaya.
Anybody else want to chant?
Archayam Standilignova
Archayam Standilignova
Surye Vapsurididvaja
Surye Vapsurididvaja
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Dravyena Bhakti Yuktorchet
Swagurum Amayaya
Swagurum Mamayaya
Archayam
Archayam
within the deity form
within the deity form
stand. Where's the translator? Who's translating? Who's doing the Cantonese?
He didn't organize.
We have an English class.
Huh? You want to do it? Chanda?
We have an English class.
Okay. Standile
Standile
in the earth.
in the earth,
Agno
Agno
in fire.
in fire,
Va
Va
or
or
Surye
Surya
in the sun.
in the sun,
Va
Va
or
or
Apsu
Apsu
in water.
in water,
Ridhi
Riddhi
in the heart.
in the heart,
Dvija
Dvija
the Brahmana.
the Brahmana,
Dravyena
Dravyena
by various paraphernalia.
by various paraphernalia,
Bhakti Yukta
Bhakti Yukta
endowed with devotion.
endowed with devotion,
Archet
Archet
he should worship.
he should worship,
Swagurum
Swagurum
his worshipable Lord.
his worshipable Lord,
Mam
Mam
me
me,
Amayaya
Amayaya
without any deception.
without any deception.
Translation. A twice-born person should worship me, his worshipable Lord, without duplicity, offering appropriate paraphernalia in loving devotion to my deity form, or to a form of me appearing upon the ground, in fire, in the sun, in water, or within the worshipper's own heart. There's no purport. I'll go on to the next verse, text number 10.
The next like 7 or 8 Maharaj is not perfect.
Oh,
Just let me know.
so will we just read?
As you wish, yeah, as you wish.
Text number 10. One should first purify his body by cleansing his teeth and bathing. Then one should perform a second cleansing by smearing the body with earth and chanting both Vedic and Tantric mantras. Again, in text number 11, continue. Fixing the mind on me, one should worship me by his various prescribed duties, such as chanting the Gayatri mantra at the three junctures of the day. Such performances are enjoined by the Vedas and purify the worshipper of reactions to fruitive activities. Going ahead, text number 12. The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties: stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, the mind, or jewels. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that certain deity forms, such as those made of sand, are manifested for a brief time to fulfill a permanent desire of the worshipper, to fulfill a personal desire of the worshipper. Those, however, who desire to attain pure love of God should worship the permanent form of the deity, made, for instance, of marble, gold, or brass, and they should maintain continual worship. In Krishna consciousness, there is no scope for neglecting the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamai Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Lord Krishna is instructing Uddhava in the process of worshipping the deity. Previously, he was describing about the importance of association. What things are good, what's good for association and what's not good for association. So now in this chapter he's describing how to associate with the deities. If you associate with the deity, that's very good association. You cannot have better association than to be with the deities. So we have to understand there are rules and regulations in the process of deity worship. It is not just whimsical. It is not just do what you like and just do when you like, but there's many rules and regulations which have to be followed. Of course, people sometimes complain, oh, so many rules, oh, why can't we just do as we like? We have to understand that the more civilized society becomes, then the more there are rules and regulations. For example, there are no rules and regulations for the animals. We don't have rules for the cats or the mice or the rats or all the other creatures who are roaming around here in Hong Kong. The rules, the laws are for the human beings. Humans are meant to follow laws, and the more civilized society becomes, the more there are rules and regulations. So these rules and regulations are for the good of the society. And similarly, worshipping the deity, there are rules and regulations which are very important, which have to be followed. Otherwise, you can't expect the deity to remain there in that presence. So you can see, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a well-known verse in the 9th chapter where Lord Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Lord Krishna is saying, offer to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or some water. If you offer with love and devotion, then I will accept it. So the Acharyas, particularly Baladeva Vidyabhusan, who was our prominent commentator on the Shastras, he wrote the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, he explains that in this verse, Lord Krishna is indicating the importance of cleanliness and purity. That if we're going to worship the deity, we must be clean, we must be pure. So we do have some restrictions about who can worship the deity. Sometimes people complain that, oh, why only the Brahmins get to do these things? Why you have to be a Brahmin before you can do it? Everyone should be allowed to do it. But you have to understand that there are rules and regulations. There are qualifications before you can approach the deity. Drink some water. So these rules and regulations are there to show us that there's a standard in performing the worship. Just like if you were to look at for example, the Secretary of Hong Kong, the Home Secretary, is it? They call him, what do they call him? The one overseeing Hong Kong? Chief Executive, the Chief Executive of Hong Kong. You know, he will have his servant, he will have his secretary and so on. But these people will not be new people. They'll all be trained and qualified and they've had a lot of experience and so on. And similarly, if you look, for example, at the the royal families, you know, like the King of England, you know, in their palace, in Buckingham Palace in England, they'll have servants, and only qualified people will be able to go and serve the king. They won't just let any new person go in and take his breakfast or bring his lunch or whatever. But the people who do service, they will be very well trained and responsible people who've had a lot of experience, and they know exactly how to do things. And so similarly with the Supreme Lord, you're going to worship the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, you have to know that there's a particular standard which is required in worshipping the Lord. And to feel the presence of the Lord, you want to have the Lord present there to receive the worship, you have to meet the conditions. In other words, we should be pure and clean. So it was mentioned this morning, you know, that you have to clean the teeth, in other words, purify the mouth, and then you have to bathe. Sometimes people don't even know, they think you bathe first and then you clean the teeth. You know, sometimes they don't know, that some people just don't know these things, but the process is you clean the mouth first and then you bathe. And so bathe, that's an important thing. And the cloth also must be fresh, it should be clean, it should be laundered, it should be fresh, freshly washed, and that way then you can go and approach the Lord. You don't just go in your jeans, you know, and come in there and you didn't have a bath and you're going to go and worship the Supreme Lord. That is not the standard of deity worship. You know, it's actually offensive to approach the Lord in that kind of condition. So Lord Krishna is describing these different points to Uddhava, and these points, of course, they're all practiced very strictly in temples, where, you know, generally a proper temple where the Lord is worshipped, you will see they have many rules and regulations, and they have very high standard. And that you can see, for example, in temples like Jagannath Puri, that if you're not born in the Hindu family, you can't even go in the temple. So they have conditions like that. I mean, that their purpose is also to protect the deity, because they're always worried that intruders will come in, because in the past, invaders did come in and they took the deity of Lord Jagannath away, and they had to bring the deity back. You know? So they don't want they don't want that threat of outsiders coming in and taking the deity and or destroying or damaging the deity worship. They want to keep the very high standard. So we have to understand the importance of these things in worshipping the deity, that the Lord is a person, and he does appreciate the efforts which the devotee will make to serve him. Now, Lord Krishna then mentions the different materials which may be used to make the deity. And he mentions wood, for example. Lord Jagannath is Darumurti, the Lord in the form of wood. And the Lord can also be made, we have here our Gaurnitai deities are made in marble. And then the small Utsava deity is brass. So stone, metal, these things can be used for the deity. And it mentions here that sometimes people will also use sand. Now sand is described here. Jiva Goswami is quoted that Jiva Goswami said that when the deity is made out of sand, that people are just having the deity for some time. They're not establishing a permanent worship. In other words, you know, just like we see when they have good Durga Puja or Ganesh Puja or something, you know, they'll often make the deity, they'll make their murtis out of earth. They use the clay, you know, and they make the form of Durga or Kali Puja or like that. They have these things, and they'll make it from some earth, and they'll do the puja for some time. The Durga Puja maybe 10 days or something, and then at the end of Durga Puja, then they take the deity to the river or to the sea, and it will go back to the earth. The elements will go back to the earth. And so they did some puja for some time. But the idea is that when you have a deity, that it should be eternal worship, that you're establishing the worship eternally. So when the deity is made from things like wood and metal and stone and so on, the deity will remain. And we see that there are deities around which have been there for a very, very long time. Just like the deity at Sri Rangam, Lord Ranganath, the deity there is from a very long time ago. It's very ancient, very long, ancient deity. And similarly also Balaji, Tirupati Balaji, it's a very old deity, very ancient. And there are many deities like that in South India which have been worshipped for many, many, many years. They're going back. It is said there's also the deity of Lord Krishna at Udupi, and that deity of Lord Krishna at Udupi is in Karnataka, a small town. So there's a deity of Lord Krishna as a cowherd boy, and it is said that deity of Lord Krishna was originally worshipped by Lord Krishna's wife, Rukmini, that she would worship this deity of Lord Krishna as a cowherd boy. So later on that deity was found by Madhva Acharya, that Madhva Acharya had helped one ship which somehow had got stuck on a sandbank, and he was able to help the captain to free the boat from the sandbank. And the captain was very grateful, and he told Madhvacharya, if there's anything I can give you to help you, then please, it will be my great pleasure to give you. So Madhvacharya then understood. He told the captain that, I know you have a block of Gopi Chandan there. They had a big block of Gopi Chandan, which was from Dwarka. Gopi Chandan, there's a lot of Gopi Chandan over in Dwarka. So it was on the ship, there was a big lump of it on the ship. He said, can you give me that lump, just give me that lump. So they gave it to Madhvacharya, and Madhvacharya took the Gopi Chandan and he put it in the water, in the sea there, and the Gopi Chandan melted off, and within the Gopi Chandan there was this deity of Lord Krishna. So that deity was then established by Madhvacharya, and the worship is going on. But it said the deity had been worshipped thousands of years before Madhvacharya, in the time of Lord Krishna. It had been worshipped in Dwarka by Rukmini, the wife of Lord Krishna. So like that, deity worship doesn't stop. And traditionally in a family, when they have shaligrams and things like that, then they will give the shaligrams to their children. Particularly the eldest son has the responsibility to continue the worship. If the family are maintaining a temple, then when the father passes away, then the eldest son should take on that responsibility and continue to maintain the temple. So that is the tradition, that's the culture. The temple, it's not that the worship is stopped or the temple is closed, but the responsibility passes on to the younger generation. So similarly in the worship of the deity, you can see some temples, they've been around for a very, very long time. And of course, the longer the temple is there, then the more famous they are, and they attract more people, they get a reputation, and people come. Many people come, and of course then it means the temple gets more income. And we see there are quite a few temples like that. It is said there are many deities around the planet which are not known. We don't know about them. They're hidden in different places. Just like Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was at Govardhan and he had a dream. And in his dream, Lord Krishna appeared to him. And Lord Krishna told him that, please take me out of this place. I'm very hot. I want to be properly worshipped. Please take me out of this. And Madhavendra Puri, in his dream, he understood that Lord Krishna was in the ground in Govardhan. So he got some people to help him, and they dug the ground, and they brought out the form of Lord Krishna from below in the earth, in the ground there at Govardhan. And that deity is worshipped today in a very gorgeous manner. It's called Srinathji. Srinathji is in Nathdwara, which is on the edge of Rajasthan near to Gujarat. So it's a very popular deity with the people from Pushti Marg. Pushti Marg people, they all go there and they worship Lord Krishna. It's a form of Lord Krishna picking up the Govardhan hill. And they've established many other temples of this Srinathji in different places where the Gujarati community are. You can go to Dubai, you'll see they have a temple there. You go to Bahrain, they have a temple there. You go to America, they have some temples there in America. And we've also put some temples with Srinathji. We also worship Krishna. It's a form of Lord Krishna. And it was actually found by Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri is in our line of disciplic succession. Madhavendra Puri was not Pushti Marg. Madhavendra Puri is a Gaudiya Vaishnava. And he found the deity. Later, after he found it, he gave it to Vallabha Acharya's sons. Vallabha Acharya was the Acharya for the Pushti Marg. And so he gave the deity to the sons of Vallabha Acharya. Vallabha Acharya had some very nice sons who were very good devotees. And Madhavendra Puri entrusted the worship to them, that they would continue the worship. And down to today, the worship is continued. The deity was initially at Govardhan. Later on, because of the threats of the Muslim invaders, they moved the deity to Nathdwara. And Nathdwara was a palace there with a king who was a staunch Hindu, and he took the deity in and he arranged for the worship of the deity there. And similarly, Jaipur, they moved the deity from Vrindavan, they moved Govindaji to Jaipur, and they moved the deity of Gopinath and Damodar. They all came to Jaipur to get protected because of the danger of the invasion. So they wanted to protect the deities. They moved them to Jaipur, where the Jaipur king, the Maharaj of Jaipur, was a staunch devotee. And the deity worship could be maintained there by the king. And down to today, the deity is still there. So deity worship continues. Prabhupada told us also, once the temple is opened, it cannot close. And similarly, once you begin the worship of the deity, it cannot stop. Now, if somebody is worshipping the deity and the family are not interested, what to do? The family may not be devotees. You may be in the unfortunate position, you have no descendants to continue the worship. So what are you going to do? Then you give the deity to some other devotee. You entrust the worship to someone who will continue the worship. Sometimes what happens is they bring the deity to the temple. And you can go to temples, just like if you go to Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, you will see they've got 3 sets of Radha and Krishna deities there. in Radha Damodar temple. 3 sets of Radha and Krishna, big deities all there. They came from different people, like their temples, the worship couldn't be continued, they put the deity there. Similarly, you go to, in Navadvip Dham, if you go to, what is it called, that place of Saranga Murari, Menak, what's the name of that place? I forget the name of the place where Saranga Murari, where he has his place. Mamagachi. Mamagachi, there's a place, Mamagachi, and there's 3 sets of Krishna deities there also, you know, different times. The Vasudev Datta's deities are there. Saranga Murari's deity was the original deity. Later on, Vasudev Datta's deity is there. And there's someone else, then I think it was Shivananda Sen, his deity also there. So different people, they put and you get many deities all in the one temple, and you have all these Radha and Krishna deities. So that way one temple has to continue the worship. But, you know, it's better, you know, you establish the worship, you have to make arrangements for the worship to go on. Just like temples in India, when they have a temple, they have land also. And with that land, they have some income from the land. They can grow rice, or they give the land to other people and they grow the rice, and then they'll give a portion of the rice to the temple. They'll take some for themselves, but some of it will go to temple. The temple has to have some means of an income, and the income would come from the land. And of course, temple, they will have some cows because they want to get milk and they want cow dung and different things like that. And so they keep some cows there, and they have to have some land for the cows. So all of these things are necessary for making a temple. You make a temple, establish a temple, there's a big responsibility to maintain the temple. Once the temple is opened, you have to continue it. And so, here in Hong Kong, very difficult. We don't have any land. Where are you going to get land in Hong Kong? Not very easy, of course. Now you have a little piece of land where you're trying to grow some vegetables, but you know, it's not our land, you're just renting it from somebody. So these are all things which have to be understood. People often very eager, oh, I'm going to get a deity, I'm going to bring a deity. They don't always think about the responsibilities, about what's required, what you have to do. You bring the deity in. So sometimes the deities are buried. That's what, you know, just like Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri and he brought out Tota Gopinath. It was buried in the sand at Jagannath Puri, and Lord Chaitanya unearthed the deity from below the ground. And similarly, there are several deities like that in Vrindavan. The people somehow, to protect the deity, they will bury it in the ground. Maybe the Muslims are coming and they cannot take the deity away, so they'll just bury it in the ground, and that way then cover it up, and sometimes they put the deity into the lake as well, you know, and you put it into the kunds which are there sometimes, just to hide them from people who may come to damage them. Or sometimes, you know, they just cannot maintain the worship, so they think in the future someone will find a deity and they can continue the worship. So there are many deities like that around the planet even, because the Lord was worshipped all over the planet. And so different places sometimes you find deities. And you can, when Madhavendra Puri found the deity, he began to worship it. He made a temple. But often what they do nowadays, when they find a deity, find a form of, they'll give it to the museum, and they'll put it in the museum. And you can go to London, British Museum, you'll see they have things like that in the British Museum. Oh, this is a form of Krishna, it was found somewhere, you know. People find them and they sell them off. They don't think, oh, I'm so fortunate, Krishna has appeared to me, I should worship it. They just simply think, No, sell it and get some money. They have this conception.
So Maharaj says in different cities in India you can go to antique shops and find a lot of old deities.
Oh yeah, right. Antique shops, yeah. They have the brass murtis, all these different brass murtis, and you see there's deities there, many. And so some of them are actually deities which have been worshipped before in the past for a long time. So it's unfortunate these things happen. But you know, you bring the deity, you should make a will so that the deity worship will continue. Right? You make a will, you have some money, you have some income, and you should you should make a request in your will that this deity worship will continue. And sometimes we had one man one time, he came in Malaysia, it was he was worshipping Radha and Krishna in his home, and so he got old and it got difficult for him to do it. So he came to the temple. He said, I want to donate my deities to the temple. You can worship Radha and Krishna. He said, you don't have Radha and Krishna here. It was just a Jagannath temple. He said, I will give Radha and Krishna deities for the temple. So they said to him, okay, you want to give your deity to the temple, but can you give money for the garlands to be made every day? Can you give money for the dress? Can you give money for the jewelry? Can you pay for the offerings? No, he said, I'm giving the deity, you have to do all that. I'm just giving the deity, you take care of everything. We said, well, and we said, that's not very fair. You know, you want us to do all the worship, you're only giving the deity, but there's so many expenses involved in worshipping the deity. You cannot just expect us to do everything. The reason why we don't have Radha and Krishna here is because we don't have a budget for everything. It's a big expense. You need people as well, not just money, you need people to do everything. And so it's a big challenge. There are many things to be thought about. So those are some things in relation to the deity worship. Are any question? Any comment?
We know, we can hear again and again that Harinam Sankirtan is the jagya for the age and such. Why then is deity worship spoken about so much in our teaching also? It's important, we have to do it and such, even though Harinam is said to be the Dharma, the Yuga Dharma.
Yes. Well, we have to understand that deity worship will make sure that we keep our purity and our regulation. If we just do Harinam Sankirtan, it won't be so pure, it won't be so regulated. We won't worry so much about these things. But that's why deity worship is there, that it's a necessity for us to be pure and to keep a regulation. Bathing and changing the dress every day and washing the cloth and all of these things are essential, very important for us in worshipping the deity. So if we don't do this, if you're just doing Sankirtan, preaching it's very good, yeah, it's very important, it's a Yuga Dharma, but in order to keep us to keep our purity, to keep our cleanliness, our standards of cleanliness, and so very important for us. The deity worship is there, and the regulation which is there in the deity worship. Prabhupada was always very strict in the deity worship, that it must be on time. And even people have complimented to me, they said, they went to many different temples, and often, they have to wait 15, 20 minutes to get darshan from the scheduled time, but you come to ISKCON, the ISKCON temple, exactly on time, they will have the darshan. So punctuality is a very important factor in the temple. Not only cleanliness, but also being punctual. The deity greeting, the artis, everything must be on time. It must be regulated. This is how we can judge the standard of the deity worship. That everyone's very conscious and concerned. It's a challenge. It's not easy to keep up that punctuality, but it's required. It's required that we have to have that standard. Otherwise, we'll lose our Krishna consciousness. We're not being Krishna conscious if we're not being punctual and clean. Okay, anything else? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.